I'm Dan Drake. This is Front Up on Visitor Network TV. Our guest is Mark Avery, the Director of Historic Properties for the Nantucket Historical Association.
Hello, Dan.
Mark,
good to
welcome.
see you today.
Nice to see you. What's new in the world of preservation these days?
Well,
I mean, you have some
there's a lot new and there's
a
a lot old in preservation. I do. I work for the Nantucket Historical Association, and we have 21 properties. Not all of them are historic buildings, but many of them are. And so my role is to care for them, to do what restoration is necessary to them, to find funding to do that. And
so the fundraising is part of your...
Oh, well, I help with it. We have
yeah.
other staff who definitely takes the lead in some of that grant writing and that sort of thing. But I'm always there helping. So yeah. But you know, as a nonprofit, the NHA has a lot of requirements to serve, and preservation of historic buildings is high on the list, but often not enough in the coffers to do it. And so we have to find out other sources of income to be able to use for that sort of thing. And some of it comes through grants. So, yeah.
What kind of major projects do you have going on in some of the buildings now?
Well, we usually try to cycle them so that we're not working in neighborhoods in the middle of summer. So we try to do them in the off season, but this last winter we did a workshop carriage house type building behind the 1800 house. 1800 house is a historic building on Mill Street that we have been running as a center for early American arts and crafts. Rather than another house museum, when it was restored in 2001, it was made into a center for learning those kind of crafts. Ship models, half hulls, weather vane making,
painting of various sorts,
fabric arts, as well as you name it, all sorts of programs that go on all summer long. Anyway, they were running out of room, so we repurposed an old garage that came from Surfside Road and placed it into the back of the 1800 house. Created a basement under it as well, so it became 2 floors instead of just one. And we are now using it for a print shop that Jack Gardner had donated all of his old Poets Corner printing presses to the 1800 house. So now we have a home for those.
Is it usable?
It's all usable.
That's wonderful.
And some of the most amazing plates that that tell the history of Nantucket. It's really kind of remarkable. So we're just getting into that now. That's brand new this summer. So that's kind of fun. And we also restored the old jail on Vestal Street this last winter. Just finished that up. It is a pretty remarkable, very unique building. We went for funding for that restoration from the local CPC, which we got a matching fund for. We went to the Mass Historical Commission for additional funding. They also gave us a big grant for that. We went to the Daughters of the American Revolution for a grant, and they granted us $10,000 as well. And the National Trust for Historic Preservation also gave us money. So that restoration was fully funded by outside sources, local, state, and federal, which is pretty remarkable.
I have to go back.
That's the first time.
I was there just before you did the redo. I need to see it now.
And we always thought of it as a very sleepy place, but we've been getting a lot of visitors there. As many as go up to the windmill or the oldest house have been going to the jail this summer. So,
as many people know, jail is spelled in the Old English style.
That's right.
G-A-O-L.
Right.
I was very amused to see that the certificate of occupancy from the town said the Old Goal.
Yes.
G-O-A-L. My
Yes.
granddaughters discovered that under the stairs.
Well, that is funny. I hear people all the time, oh, that old goal, and I try to correct them. No, it's a soft G, like J.
And it's also G-A-O, not G-O-A.
Right, but it is funny that that's kind of in the lexicon now, goal, the old goal. But it looks great. New finishes throughout. Repaired the building. Really, it was starting to deteriorate badly. We found a lot more rot in the building than we had hoped, so we repaired all of that. Twig Perkins, the contractor for the project, went through the place. We took care of a lot of major issues with it over the course of the spring.
And people know about it, and they've been visiting.
And they've been visiting it. It's
wonderful.
been one of our most visited sites this summer.
Really?
So that's exciting. And so every year we try to do a couple of those kind of projects.
What's in the hopper for?
Well, I'm sure you know that very busy intersection at the corner of Pleasant and Main Street,
Yes.
the wonderful William Hadwin Mansion at the corner. The fence that goes around the front of that is a very remarkable but also expensive fence to repair. So we went to the CPC for funding for that last year. They granted us half of what we need to do that project. So we're going to start that this winter. It doesn't look it because we Band-Aid it, but that fence is in need of complete rebuilding.
New dentures, so to speak.
It is. It is.
Not just filling.
and it's but it's a it's a pricey item. It's not just a fence. It's these large post bases and filled in with all of these intricate balusters, and so it's a very big project to do. So we'll be doing that this winter. We are also taking care of some in-house projects. We are building some employee housing, which there's never enough of around here.
Where are you doing that?
That'll be out on Bartlett Road, out where we have our
Storage facility.
our collection storage facility. We haven't been through any of the permitting yet. We're just starting the process, but we hope to have that done for next summer as well. We are going to be doing a restoration on a house we have on Liberty Street called the Macy Christian House. That's what we call it. That's not the historic name for the house. It's the Nathaniel Macy House, but the family that donated it to us was the Christian family. So it kind of has that hyphenated name. That's a 1745 house that we will be restoring over the course of the winter. It needs a new foundation. It's falling apart. So the whole building will have to be lifted to put a new foundation underneath it. But that's a winter project. We would never attempt that in the summertime.
I understand that the house that's next to the Hadwin House on Main Street
Yes.
was offered to the NHA.
No, not really offered. Not exactly offered.
Well, in some fashion.
Well, I think there was some discussion years ago about what the disposition of it would be, but it was never actually offered.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
the understanding in the community seems to be that the NHA decided it was just too expensive to pursue as an addition to the collection of historic buildings.
Well, in fact, we do have the problem that we have so many buildings now that we have a hard time keeping up with and taking care of, that we don't want to take on new historic buildings unless we can care for them properly. So there is something to that argument, but it was never actually offered. Like I said, it's something that the museum field generally now wants to make sure they have enough funds to care for a property before just taking it on. And in the old days, the NHA used to just take anything. It's been a while since they've had a property donated or anything, but you need those funds to care for it. And we have one property that's fully endowed.
Which one is that?
It's at 99 Main Street.
Oh,
It was donated by Tuppence Harris, and that house is fully endowed, and it is always in pristine condition because of it. Unfortunately, the rest of them suffer from, not enough.
Deferred maintenance, if you will.
Well, deferred maintenance is part of it, but since I've been with the NHA, I've been there 6 years now. We try to bring that all back and keep the deferred maintenance at bay. Sometimes they become major restorations, like the jail this winter. Before that, Greater Light, you remember
Right.
Greater
And then,
Light?
well, yeah,
on
and a few
Howard
years ago,
Street.
you had the problem with the. Maybe this was before your time, but when the oldest house was struck by lightning.
Oh yes, it was before my time at the NHA. I was certainly on island at the time, but it required a full redo.
Yeah.
And some of it restoration, some of it just practical requirements to keep the building standing.
What about this job rings your bells, keeps you going? Why?
Oh, well, that's a fun question. When I came to Nantucket in 1987, I wanted to work in a historic district. Old buildings have always been a passion of mine, and so I came to Nantucket, was offered a job at Design Associates Architects on Main Street, where I worked for many years, seven or 8 years.
So you're an architect by
was
training?
Always engineer, and I hated engineering when I got into it, and realized very quickly that architecture was kind of much more of a passion for me. So I went back to school for a bit, and then came down to Nantucket and was offered the job at Design Associates, and came down and loved it. Ran for the HDC in 1990. Was surprised when I was elected. But stayed there for 12 years and did that.
Would you do it again?
You know, people ask that a lot. I'm not sure. I think 12 years was a lot, and I found myself getting a little bit jaded, honestly, being there. And I just thought, now it's probably time to pass this torch to someone else, because I didn't ever want to be jaded about any of that. Those discussions that you have when you're sitting there in judgment of other people's dream houses. Oftentimes it's a hard call to make, and you want to do it with the best intentions and the most open way you can. And I found myself getting a little bit negative, and I didn't want to be negative, so I just said, okay, that was enough. Enough.
That's probably a good way to stop.
Yeah, I think that everybody should think that way, really, because I was there because I have a passion for Nantucket and architecture, and wanted this place to be preserved the way we all love it, and so that's why I went. That's why I did it. I've been involved in preservation ever since I got here, and always wanted to continue. So 6 years ago, the NHA had this position of director of properties open, and I thought, that might be a really nice fit for me. So I came over, and that's what I've been doing since.
The rest is history, as they say.
So now I don't get involved so much in the political world, but doing my own preservation things with the NHA is always fun.
Great.
And I do have to go in front of the HDC often now.
Sure, yeah.
And so I get to see it all from all sides.
Well, thank you, Mark Avery, Director of Historic Properties for the NHA.
Thank you, Dan. My pleasure. Nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you.